Madam President, it is very difficult for me to rise today with a heavy heart to bid aloha to my good friend, colleague, and brother, Dan Inouye. It is hard for me to believe that the terrible news I received is true. Senator Inouye was a true patriot, an American hero in every sense. And he is, at this time in Hawaii, the greatest leader. He served his country as a soldier, receiving the highest honor our nation can bestow. When we think of how he began to serve his nation, it was difficult to believe the difficulty they had in Hawaii as Japanese Americans to be a part of our nation's military. They were denied. They were considered aliens of this country. But he was one of those that wanted to serve his country, and they went to the highest level to receive that dignity. And eventually they were given the honor to serve our country. And as we now know, they became the greatest unit in military history, with the most decorations of any unit, and also with the highest levels of decoration of the Medal of Honor. He served as a leader, the third longest serving member of the U.S. Senate in our nation's history. He served as a defender of the people of this country, championing historic charges for civil rights, including the equal rights of women, Asian Americans, African Americans, and Native Hawaiians. It is an incredible understatement to call him an institution. But this chamber will never be the same without him. And I remember in childhood in Hawaii, that Hawaii is a diversified place. Where I lived in Powell Valley, there were many Japanese families that lived around us. And there were many nights that I spent sleeping in the homes of our Japanese families, ate their food, slept on the tatami or the floor, and really was brought up with the Japanese families. So when the war broke out, I couldn't understand what was happening, because there were families that were removed from the community, And of course, at that time, the Japanese-American boys weren't allowed to be in the military. But they pursued it because they wanted to serve this country as well. And this is why, in my time in Congress, I did focus on trying to help the Japanese Americans in this country and the Asians in this country as well, and to help them achieve what they really earned. And I remember seeking the Medal of Honor for the unit and for those who fought in World War II. And I provided the Pentagon with 100 names from these units. And was really surprised that there were finally 21 of them that were selected for the Medal of Honor, and Senator Inouye was one of them. But that showed that they were willing to give their lives for this country, and they did. And since then, he has continued to serve his country. We all use the GI Bill to be educated in Hawaii. We went to the University of Hawaii and graduated there and went on to further degrees and came back as, in a sense, those who could help the communities and became leaders in the communities. And in the case of Dan Inouye, they were the ones that turned the tide in Hawaii politically, and since 1954, and by 1959, we became a state, and Senator Inouye ran for office, was our first member of the House, and after one term, moved to the Senate because Senator Long decided to retire. And as a result, Senator Matsunaga was elected to the House and served the House and also the Senate as well. And he also was a member of the 100th Infantry during World War II. But the Japanese Americans really served our country well, and Dan Inouye is one of those great leaders in the history of this country. Through my career in Congress, I have been proud to be on Dan's team. We worked together on everything from appropriations to Native Hawaiian rights, to veterans, and to defense. All of us in Hawaii looked up to him, and we are so sad to see him go. Dan Inouye leaves behind him a list of accomplishments unlikely to ever be paralleled. His lifelong dedication and hard work in the name of his beloved country, the United States of America, influenced every part of his life and set him apart, even in the Senate. He was a fierce advocate as a senior member on several committees, And the way he conducted himself commanded respect from all whom he worked with. His legacy is not only the loving family that he leaves behind. It can be seen in every mile of every road in Hawaii, in every nature preserve, in every facility that makes Hawaii a safer place. He fulfilled his dream of creating a better Hawaii. He gave us access to the resources and facilities of the mainland states, I would say took for granted. Tomorrow will be the first day since Hawaii became a state in 1959 that Dan Inouye will not be representing us in Congress. Every child born in Hawaii will learn of Dan Inouye, a man who changed the islands forever. I join all of the people of Hawaii tonight in praying for his wife, Irene, his son, Ken, and daughter-in-law, Jessica, his stepdaughter, Jennifer, and his granddaughter, Maggie, that really tickled his life. Whenever I had a chance to chat with him, we talked about Maggie. And they brought him so much joy in this life and carries his legacy forward. I'm going to miss Dan. So will all of us here in the Senate in this great country will also. Because he represented a true American. And for us in Hawaii, he represented a true Hawaiian in Hawaii and has served Hawaii and this country well. Dan and I have worked so well together all these years. And when I was in a house and in the appropriations committee there, we worked very well between the House and the Senate. And many of the renovations that have come about in Hawaii was because of Dan. And he really helped to shape Hawaii and this great country. But he brought here on earth a kind of life that people of our country and this world can follow and be great citizens of the world. Dan, my dear friend and colleague, you will be missed in Washington as much as you will be missed in Hawaii. Rest in peace. God bless you and your spirit. Mr. President, I yield the floor.